The gaming series of FIFA has lasted for 30 years, but all of that will be coming to the end this year. And to celebrate everything that's happened during this time, we're going to go through the whole evolution of FIFA. For us to start this journey, we need to go all the way back to 1993, where the very first FIFA was released. This was called FIFA International Soccer. This was released to Nintendo, Sega, and also the Game Boy. And from today's standards, it's nothing special. It was a 16-bit game, only featured national teams, and player names were not used. Even though they had the licensing for FIFA, they didn't have the licensing for anything else. FIFA 95 was released with only minor upgrades, but it was the first one to release club teams from 8 national leagues, this being England, Brazil, Germany, Italy, Spain, France, Netherlands, and United States. But gameplay was more or less the same. It wasn't until FIFA 96 where there started to be some improvements. The game started to have real-time 3D graphics and to feature real player names and positions. It also included very basic ranking, transfer, and team customization tools, but it was still incomplete in some areas. The Brazilian team still had some players which were retired but still included as part of the game, and on top of that, with the American League, it still had completely fake teams as well as players. Some of these problems weren't resolved until FIFA 99, but in between, EA still continued to add. With FIFA 97, they introduced a new 6-a-side indoor game mode and also improved the 3D graphics with the players. This was also the first year in which commentary was added to the game by John Motson, Andy Gray, and Des Lynam. The FIFA Road to World Cup 98 marked the beginning of a trend in quality for the series. Because FIFA 97 was a hit, especially with the commentary, EA realized that they could expand in other areas. It was the first to feature a soundtrack with popular musicians, and it arguably has one of the best opening scenes to the whole franchise by including Blur's song too. Now I would love to play it, but of course I will immediately be copyright striked, so best to just go and type in FIFA 98 opening scene and you'll be able to see exactly what I'm on about. FIFA 99 didn't have much of an improvement from FIFA 98. It did remove the indoor playing game mode, which we talked about earlier, and also removed the Malaysian League, but did in its place add the Belgium League and the Portuguese leagues, and also introduce a league for European teams not in the top leagues but playing against each other. This was the introduction of rest of the world. We should also take the time now to say that for most FIFAs, there is introductions to new teams as well as taking them away. But once we hit into the 2000s, this becomes less of a core component, so we're not going to be talking about each individual team which is added or removed. With FIFA 2000, it was the first one to introduce motion capture. Sol Campbell was the first player to have his actions computer generated, and the second person to be cyber scanned into the game was not actually a player, it was Robbie Williams. Robbie Williams was singing the introduction to FIFA 2000, and in certain moments you can see him, and for this EA required a cyber scan of him. With FIFA 2001, this is when EA started to look deeper into gameplay mechanics that they've already added but add another level to them. For example, every other game before this, when you were to shoot, you would just press the button, but with FIFA 2001, they would include a power bar. This added more variation to the different shot types that you was able to do. Looking outside of gameplay mechanics, this was also the very first FIFA to include official club emblems. Yet again, was limited to only certain teams right at the beginning, but this is something that would improve as years went on. FIFA Football 2002 did the exact same thing. With the success of the power bar being introduced to the shots, they also added a power bar to passes. And they also took the time to reduce the pace and the ability with dribbling to make it slightly more challenging. This is also one of the last versions of the game, especially during this stage, where it included the Japan national team, until FIFA 17, as Japan sold the exclusive rights to Konami in 2002. FIFA Football 2003 improved the player likeness, adding greater similarity to massive name players such as Thierry Henry and Ronaldinho. At this point, even though the game has contained 3D graphics for quite some time and also included player names, they really didn't look like them. Graphics is also another thing which may go without saying, but did improve gradually throughout the years, making players' likeness actually look like them in real life. Looking outside of graphics and focusing more on gameplay, yet again EA took the time to focus on very specific gameplay mechanics. The big one for FIFA Football 2003 was the freestyle control, which allowed players to flick the ball and lay it off to nearby teammates. FIFA Football 2004 introduced more progression. It was no longer just about selecting your favorite teams and playing with your favorite players, which is what it was up until this point. From this point, it was the start of something new. They added lower ranked league teams, which allowed players to hop in, select a lower league football team, and progress through the ranks to take them to the top divisions. This really had a massive impact in that new game mode as well, which was career mode. This was also the very first time that skill and knowledge of the game with gameplay mechanics actually had an impact. It was going into a more competitive game mode style by introducing gameplay mechanics called off the ball. This was a new gameplay feature that allowed you to control a second player so that you can simultaneously move them into the box in anticipation to pass the ball from the player that you're actually controlling. FIFA Football 2005, my first ever FIFA, added massive improvements to their most successful game mode within FIFA 2004. This was career mode. It added more stats, more features, and made it overall more in depth. One of the features that players loved was the ability to create a player. Now, I should say that create a player was not new to FIFA 2005. It was part of the early versions of FIFA, but was removed because there was honestly no need for it, but made a return within FIFA 2005. With FIFA 2005, this is also when they introduced first touch gameplay, which allowed players to perform realistic tricks and passes. And finally, this was the last year in which EA were experimenting with the name. Over the years, they had FIFA International Soccer, FIFA, and FIFA Football, but now this was the last one that was going to be called FIFA Football. From this point onwards, every title will just be called FIFA and end the year. FIFA 06 made significant changes to the gameplay's mechanics, improving control of play. It also introduced an improved career mode. Yet again, this was their main priority, and was also the first one to include chemistry. At this point, Ultimate Team didn't exist, so team chemistry came in the form of career mode and would have a direct impact on what type of player could play with who. If they had low chemistry between each other, your gameplay is not going to be as smooth. With FIFA 07, agreements with major stadiums started to come in. At this point, they did have some stadiums already available, but it was nothing big. 07 was the year in which they really pushed licensing. They managed to bring in stadiums such as the Emirates as well as Wembley, but it didn't just stick with stadiums. They also had a big push for players, names, badges, and kits. And all of this was to feed into one new ability: to create custom teams. In FIFA 08, EA continued to expand career mode, but they also brought a new game mode. This was Be a Pro. Instead of you controlling a full team, you would control one individual player, and did include a lot of the previous features that were already included. They connected create a player customization features as well as you being able to customize teams on top of this new Be a Pro game mode. And let's just say it was a huge success. EA knew that they wanted to take this to be online. And that's where they had a massive push in FIFA 09. FIFA 09 had the addition of clubs. This is where you would play with other players and compete against other teams. It was also where the toxicity started, because now that you were able to play with other players, EA noticed that, well, it would be nice to brag in front of them, so they also included the gameplay feature to have user-controlled goal celebrations. Celebrations was a thing before this, but it was random. After scoring a goal, a player would just do something generic which you have no control over. FIFA 09 was also the introduction to Ultimate Team, but it was not available from the release. This was extra DLC that was pushed halfway through the year, and you would need to pay for it, costing 800 Microsoft points or $9.99. Ultimate Team took the full player database that EA already had and put each player based on a card with their overall stats. The goal was to build your ultimate team as you progress through bronze, silver, and gold players. It was pretty basic in terms of what we have for Ultimate Team nowadays, but it was also pretty advanced for the time. You had the ability to play in online tournaments or single player tournaments. Every game would reward you with coins, and with those coins you could buy into packs or players. It gave a level of customization of you being able to control your team that no other game mode achieved up until this point. And just like some of the other game modes that EA have released with FIFA, it was an instant success. With FIFA 10, EA expanded everything. They included an expanded manager mode with an assistant manager, they added more additions to gameplay features with BA Pro, and they expanded more on Ultimate Team. Ultimate Team with gameplay, the features themselves weren't too major, but it did bring some improvements that players noticed within FIFA 09. With another successful year on Ultimate Team, this is when EA really started to change their course. Ultimate Team as a game mode, first you would need to buy into the game itself, which was selling full price every September, but on top of that, with Ultimate Team it had its own monetization through packs. You would either need to build up enough coins to buy into packs, and that involves you actually playing the game, or you can progress faster by buying into FIFA points. It was a whole new revenue stream which hasn't been achieved in any of the other game modes that EA has pushed. This allowed them to make a lot more money, and so with that money they reinvested it back into the exact same game mode again to make even more within the future. Now EA made some massive changes to Ultimate Team over the year that if we were to go through every single one of them, this video will probably end up being an hour long whilst going through the evolution of FIFA itself. So for that, there will be a separate video at some point within the future where we will go through the evolution of Ultimate Team, where we can go a lot more in depth. Just know that there was a lot of money being pumped into it even from these early days. With that said, with FIFA 11 they still were adding gameplay features to other game modes. This was the first year where you was able to play as a goalkeeper, and this was also the first year where career mode will allow you to play as a manager, a player, or a player manager. With FIFA 12, EA had massive improvements to the engines behind FIFA. This brought in several new features, including the player impact engine, which was a physics engine that added realism to every interaction on the pitch. We had precise dribbling, which improved ball control for attacking players, tactical defending, which emphasized positioning, intercepting passes, and tackling, and we had pro player intelligence. And this was just the start of EA getting really technical with their features now. With FIFA 13, they did a very similar thing. They introduced attacking intelligence, complete dribbling, and first touch control. And these were now the massive features. It was rare for EA to add any new game modes. They already had enough. You could just play individual matches, you can go into career mode, whether that be manager, a player manager, or a player. You can now play as a goalkeeper, you had Ultimate Team. There was a lot of things going on. They just wanted to go deeper with gameplay. That's really been the way things have been going ever since. With FIFA 14, they introduced human intelligence and true player motion, as well as signature goal celebrations from the likes of Cristiano Ronaldo, Lionel Messi, and Gareth Bale. With FIFA 15, it was the first edition released under EA's partnership with the English Premier League. As so, this allowed EA to have all 20 Premier League stadiums, which would be included from the moment the game was released. This also crossed over to Premier League copyright, so they were also able to use logos, branding, scoreboards, and television graphics. FIFA 16 took the big step to not just include male football players, but also start to bring in female national teams. This was just national teams, and they didn't have their own exclusive game mode. It was just being able to play kickoff with female players. But just like most of EA's features over the years, this is something that they would gradually introduce and improve upon every single year. With FIFA 17, they added what is closest to a story mode to the game, which was called The Journey. You would be playing as Alex Hunter, and you'll be going through his campaign, from the moment he gets first scouted to eventually progress all the way to him being a professional football player. With FIFA 17, it was part 1, but this would then spread out within FIFA 18 and FIFA 19. FIFA 18 was the first year which included icons for Ultimate Team. Now, don't get confused with icons, this is just the name change of them being icons, but before this, within FIFA 14, they were called Legends, but were only available to players on Xbox. It was exclusive content. But FIFA 18 was the first year in which these Legends would be able to be on both consoles, but they couldn't use the name Legends because that was still under the exact same exclusive deal. So instead, they called them icons. And to celebrate these icons being available to both consoles, it also brought in some of those amazing skill moves from some of these players to be featured in gameplay, not just within Ultimate Team, but across the whole game. This being skill moves, certain types of playstyles with runs, and also celebrations. In FIFA 19, EA expanded on their licensing, bringing in the UEFA Champions League, Europa League, and Super Cup competitions. This then also included Martin Tyler and Alan Smith returning as regular color commentators, and also Derek Ray and Lee Dixon providing commentary for the UEFA Champions League. Within FIFA 20, EA introduced a Volta mode. This was actually introduced because of the backlash from FIFA 18 and FIFA 19 because EA were focusing way too much on Ultimate Team, providing new gameplay there, but nothing to other game modes. Players wanted to see something similar to FIFA Street, so in FIFA 20, they added Volta. With FIFA 21, it was very similar to FIFA 20. In fact, the main concern this year was that it was delayed due to the global pandemic. The big news is that it was one of the first FIFAs in years that wasn't released in September, but instead released in October. With FIFA 22, this was the year in which EA introduced hypermotion technology, which uses motion capture for the very first time of an 11 vs 11 game. Every other time when motion capture has been included, including Sol Campbell back in FIFA 2000, was just them in a dark room using motion capture to take a few shots, celebration, run a very short distance. But now it was a full 11 vs 11, which meant they was able to capture animations which were never captured before. The data collected player movements, tackles, aerial duels, and on the ball as well as off the ball actions, all to make FIFA 22 more immersive, but this was only available to next-gen players. And that brings us to FIFA 23. FIFA 23 expanded on hypermotion technology by bringing Hypermotion 2. They were still able to use all the animations and everything that they've been able to track from that first lot of 11 vs 11 games, but now with the second lot, they were able to get even more. Plus, on top of that, this was also crossed over into women's football, which also provided them with hypermotion technology to make gameplay feel even more immersive for women's football. Now, this is the whole evolution of FIFA and will remain this way at least from games developed by EA. FIFA and EA will be splitting in 2023. But with that said, it won't be the last football game that EA develops. They're creating one for themselves, and it won't be the last FIFA because FIFA's also looking for a new game developer to create FIFA. I know, it sounds confusing. EA will be creating what is now known as EA Sports Football, but FIFA will sell their name and rights to another gaming company, but as for now, we don't know what that gaming company is. It's unclear exactly how FIFA will now compete against EA, considering EA's got all the gameplay, but with that said, FIFA still has all the licensing with a portfolio of 19,000 players, 700 teams, 100 plus stadiums and 30 different leagues. But as for now, this is the whole evolution of FIFA which is being developed by EA. Let me know in the comment section down below at which point did you first start playing FIFA. Mine was FIFA 2005 and have been here ever since. Anyway guys, I hope you guys did enjoy. If you did enjoy, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe. But for now, I'm going. So see ya.